So what I'm trying to do this afternoon is to share some of the stories about recent creative challenges, stories which in their own way shine some lights on the way ahead. Before we hear them, I'd like to debunk a few myths about creativity which have been bothering me of late. The first is this phraseology that our industry is obsessed with taking creative risks, that we love nothing better than a bit of risk-taking, that we shouldn't bother coming into work at all if risk-taking and scaring health and safety or editorial policy is not at the top of our to-do list. I just wonder, I'm afraid, I don't think it's true of people I know working in the media within or beyond the BBC. I think most creative people I know don't spend all their time asking, have I taken enough risk with the idea? More often I think their question is my idea any good? What's in it for the audience? Is it different? Is it interesting? So we often confuse creative ambition with creative risk. What we need to support is ambition. Disappointment is inevitable with something that we all hope for. We hope the audience will love it. But if it doesn't capture their imagination or attention, is that because it wasn't risky enough? I think this might just be because the audience didn't like it. It might not have anything to do with creative risk itself. It might be to do with ambition or the way we made it, the way it was scheduled. So I think we sort of ennobled the idea of creative risk and use it too loosely. So we have debates that we do when things go well or things go wrong. And creative risk can be a route to success, but let's keep things in perspective. And in so doing, present a more accurate picture of the creative environment that we all work in. The second myth is that the lessons learned from any creative project automatically provide us with a bulletproof recipe for the next creative success. What is true is that creative failure leads to new learning. It doesn't necessarily lead to the next success. Actually, it's more like Darwin, his principles of evolution, that gradually one insight leads to another, or to use another image, it's like rock family trees. Most ideas are not giant leap forwards, and that's okay. And only a few ideas actually genuinely reshape everything in front of them, change things by a category change. Not everything is astonishingly and genuinely original. However, many things can be genuinely inspiring, different, and very, very good. So it would be wonderful if I could stand here and let you into the BBC's secret golden formula, which guaranteed creative success. Of course, if I gave you the recipe, I'd probably have to kill you afterwards. That would take the edge off things. The truth is, though, it simply doesn't really work like that. And I think you know that, I know that. The other myth I'd like to challenge is that the idea that only by taking risks do you win a younger audience. There's a perception that we're pushing taste and editorial standards to the limit, bundling them together as a form of creative risk in a desperate effort to appeal to young people. But I think it's simply a bit insulting to suggest that young people are necessarily pulled in by, quotes, risky content with rubbish standards. It just isn't true of either broadcasters or viewers. Creative risk is not to be confused, in other words, with judgment of what crosses the line. Beyond the myths and on a brighter note, I can tell you with real certainty that I know the BBC is full of people who are genuinely excited about what's going on and the opportunities we have to bring the best programming to all audiences. I know the independent sector agrees with this, and I know the broadcasters do too. After all, it's people and the sense of creative endeavor they bring who keep us fresh, keep audiences excited, and keep us busy. So I feel part of my job is to create the right environment for people to feel confident in doing that. And in the current climate, which is one of considerable scrutiny and a desire to get things right, it's even more important to support creativity. It's absolutely paramount, as is accepting the unpredictability that comes with creative endeavor. So when you encourage individuals to try new, unknown things, you have to expect that some things will work and some won't. It would be too easy to retreat to tried and tested formulas. So true creativity requires the courage to let go of some certainties. Monty Python, Blackadder, the young ones in their time are examples of highly creative, boundary-pushing content. Much criticized at the time, they had challenging propositions that few could deny have gone on to become regarded as classics. More recently, I'm confident The Office, Charlie Brooker's Screen Wipe, The Thick of It, and Little Britain have moved into that bracket of programming, which is shorthand for biting wit and observations of the human condition. These are commissions that required confidence on all sides, a passion for the work, and commitment to the people who created them. The kind of commissions with which the BBC has become synonymous, and the quality to which we will continue to aspire. Of course, new creative approaches aren't confined to comedy or any genre close to the edge. Great rewards can also be found in territory where the paths are seemingly more well-worn. Natural history is a genre in which we're fortunate enough to find ourselves in a world-class role. When reputation is already high, there's always the temptation to settle for what we know we can do well. But when we decide to avoid the familiar, we also need new storytelling techniques and fresh talent. We are, after all, in the business of exceeding our audience's expectations.